everybody. Dr. Joe here in the house on this wonderful Wednesday evening. Hopefully it's nice wherever you are, and so on. So anyway, got a good session time tonight, and I thought I'll try and do something different. Let me just make sure I get the people on Instagram on. So let me go to Instagram first, and then we shall start. One second. I think we're good to go on Instagram. So welcome everybody. On whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, and got another good session. So today I thought I'll try and do something, talk about struggle and really stop struggling and start winning. The reason why I thought I'll do this subject was that many investors start off with one property, maybe two properties, maybe three, and so forth. And after a while, it becomes kind of a bind because it's just like a rut. It's hard work. It's never easy, as we all know, but it's just difficult, sometimes challenging, and sometimes you wonder, is this what, am I doing the right thing? And it's just a headache for some. I've been through that myself. And but as time went by, I started putting systems in place, putting things in place where it became less of a struggle and more of this is what I need to do in order to achieve my financial independence goals and so forth. So I won't call it winning, but it's really transition from struggling to having certain things in place where it now becomes running a business. And because I think it's the goal for most of us, is to get financial independence through real estate investing. And it's a difficult journey. It's not easy. It takes time. But it's not just about buying properties. That's one thing I've learned. So that's the reason why today's subject is stop struggling and start winning. As usual, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. We're going to go to the Q&A, ask Dr. Joe in about 20-25 minutes. Anything to do real estate, any issues, challenges, problems you're facing, put them in there. I'll do what I can to give you my take based on 25, 30 years, 30, 35 years worth of experience. If you want to do a deep dive, you can always go to my website, www.joeasamoah.com. www.joeasamoah.com, and you can book a one-on-one with me where we can really, really go deep. And I had a good session again this week, and looking forward to a couple of sessions next week. So go to my website, www.joeasamoah.com, and press the button called Ask Dr. Joe. So again, today we're going to talk about stop struggling, start winning in the real estate arena. So why do so many real estate investors stay stuck, and how can you break through? For many real estate investors, the journey starts with hope and ambition. We're all excited. We watched, TV, gone to a session, gone to boot camp, whatever it is. There's hope and ambition about what we can accomplish through real estate. So we start on that journey, and everything seems to go okay. And then we start hitting walls of frustration and even stagnation after a few deals. It could be one deal, two deals, three deals, whatever it is. We're overcome with this is not working for me. And at least those thoughts come into your mind. And so we kind of find ourselves constantly in a state of reaction, either reacting to tenant issues, we're chasing mediocre properties because the market's tough, we're scrambling to get financing, or we're just simply burnt out because of the daily grind of managing our portfolio. Well, despite their best intentions, what it boils down to, we're essentially doing a job. We're running a job rather than building a wealth generating business. It looks like we're in a trudge. We're just replacing one job with another job, and really not building a business, especially a wealth generating business. Well, the truth is that in real estate, it's not just about luck or access to quote unquote secret deals. It's really about mastering the right mindset and implementing what I call repeatable systems. And we're going to talk about some of that a bit today, this implementing repeatable systems. The most successful investors, in my opinion, have overcome the same setbacks that you might be facing. I mean, I faced them. Bad tenants from hell, won't pay you, trash your house, constant drama, market downturns. You're thinking that the market is going well, then it turns on you. And financing challenges. You can't get financing from the lenders. They deny your loans. Maybe it could be bad contractor experiences. You had contractors don't do the job, do a pretty shoddy work, or they just take off your money. I mean, all those things, I've been there. But really, what sets I would just say successful investors is and separate them really is that we go through these setbacks, but we learn from those mistakes and move on, and put that as part of this is the way it is. So in today's live stream, I'm going to kind of explore the good, the bad, and the ugly, and share with you some real lessons learned from myself and also from other seasoned investors, and show you exactly how to implement the strategies that help portfolios, help you anyway, scale your portfolio substantially. So whether you're new, intermediate, or seasoned investor, I think you'll find a lot of actionable insights today, and to help you hopefully stop struggling and quote unquote start winning. So that's what we're going to do today. And as usual, I broke it into 6 parts, 1 through 6. And at the end, I'll wrap it up with a conclusion. So let's get down to the first of 6 and things that to consider. Mindset. Mindset shift from quote unquote buying properties to building a business. I think when we first started, when I started, it's all about let's just see if I can get more houses, get more deals, get more, it's acquire, acquisition, and so forth. So the question, I suppose, is: are you operating as an entrepreneur, a business owner, or are you just buying properties? Just buying properties without criteria, without systems in place, and so on. So that's what we're going to talk about first. So many investors start out focused solely on acquisition, just buying stuff. If I can just buy a few more properties, I'll be successful, they think. But what I've learned is that without a business mindset, more properties can lead to more problems. You're just stacking problems upon problems, either more tenant headaches, inconsistent cash flow, tenants aren't paying you, you got turnover challenges, or you may just have management chaos. So the investors who thrive long-term really are the ones who treat their real estate as a business from day one. Treat their real estate as a business from day one. So what does that mean? This means thinking about processes. What do you do? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Systems. What do I mean by systems? Repeatability. Having certain things, systems for collecting rent, systems for completing the renovation, systems for selecting a tenant, systems for having financing, systems for screening tenants or properties or whatever it is. These things allows you to have sort of repeatability, where it's not just every time something happens, you got to figure out what to do. With systems, it creates, if this happens, you do this. If that happens, you do that. And so that's what I mean by repeatability. And so instead of reinventing the wheel with quote unquote every tenant turnover or maintenance request, you build a standard operating procedures, SOPs. And if this happens, you do that, and so forth. So you look at key metrics. I track metrics, things like occupancy level. Do you have any vacancies? Maintenance costs. Which properties are costing more money? Why? And return on equity, not just number of properties owned. So you have metrics. You document the metrics, and then you sort of revisit them. I try to do mine sessions once a month, where we gather all the data from the business, whether it be from my bookkeeper in QuickBooks or from spreadsheets or whatever it is. And then we look at each property, look at the tenant, are they paying, who's behind, how much, occupancy level, all those things we look at during our sessions once a month. That's what I do. So adopting the business owner mindset also requires thinking ahead. how will this portfolio support your life? Because that's really what you're trying to do. What will it look like, say, 5 years from now? Yeah, and how can I or you reduce your involvement on the day-to-day operations while improving results? How can you work on your business as opposed to in your business? These are the questions that lead to scalable success. Okay, so the first one we talked about was just having the mindset shift from just buying properties to really building a business. And that's what we're trying to do here, build a business that hopefully will generate income and cash flow so that we can pursue things that we want to do. So what are some of the action items associated with the mindset shift? Write a simple business plan for your portfolio. Identify things like goals, target markets, processes. Create, maybe a standard operating procedure for things like tenant screening, leasing, maintenance, etc. Track your portfolio level metrics monthly, cash flow, occupancy, turnover rates as well. So these are some of the action items you can do as part of mindset shift. So we're going to go to number 2, which is finding a better deals or finding better deals. Now, that's another thing is the quality of deals is really, really important. So the question is, are you buying the right deals or are you chasing marginal ones? Are you buying the right deals or just chasing marginal deals? When the market heats up, it's, deals are scarce because every Tom, Dick, and Harry is buying. It's very highly competitive. And, as a result of that, many investors lower their standards just to, quote unquote, stay active. There are pros and cons with this. Generally, it's negative. You don't just want to buy stuff. Veteran investors know that buying the wrong property is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. A bad deal can tie up your capital. Yeah, sure can. It can drain your time. It can produce negative cash flow. It can, be difficult to get the kind of tenants that you're looking for. So you have a lot more turnover issues and so on if you just buy the wrong deal. So winning investors like you and I hopefully take a more disciplined approach to deal sourcing. We clearly define our buy box. What are we interested in? What neighborhoods, what price points, what property types? What's the ROI, return metrics that we are looking for? I know for me, I look for certain types of houses, certain price points, certain conditions, certain areas. It's got to have a basement. It's got to have this. It's got to have certain square foot. I mean, I know my buy box. And therefore, because I know what works for me. And as a result, I don't really waste a lot of time go look at stuff that doesn't meet my criteria. And I share that with real estate agents, wholesalers, and what I call deal finders. So we clearly define our buy box. And that's something that you may want to consider doing as well, is to define exactly what it is that you're looking for that makes sense given the business that you're trying to pursue. Also, we network with wholesalers, agents, and investors to find off-market opportunities. So hopefully we don't have to compete with every other buyer out there, And, also we underwrite deals. We don't just buy it. We do some kind of analysis, do some due diligence. You may want to, what I call, stress test your numbers instead of just crossing your fingers and hopefully everything will be okay. What if we overran the renovation? What if the costs were higher? What if the rents, weren't what we wanted? What if we had turnover? I mean, we do kind of stress test and see exactly what would happen if these scenarios occur. And so, if it doesn't work, you just have to say, it's okay. No, I'm not buying it. And if it does work, then you want to go for it before somebody else takes it. So one of the most common lessons shared by experienced investors is that deals that you don't do are almost just as important as the ones that you do deal. My position is that no deal is better than a bad deal. Bad deals are horrible. I mean, I remember some properties I bought and everything was done. I fixed it up. I just couldn't get tenants. It was in the wrong area, and the people that were interested, all I could see was drama and so on. So being patient, waiting for the right opportunities really can prevent future headaches. However, don't use that as an excuse not to do anything. The stars will never always align, and you will at some point need to pull the trigger. So what are some of the action items here for step number 2, which is finding better deals? Define your personal buy box, your criteria, and commit to only pursuing deals that fit that. Don't chase stuff that doesn't meet your criteria. Network with 3 deal sources if you can: agents, wholesalers, property managers, etc. People who can bring you deals, and you can share your buy box with them. Also, stress test every opportunity, every lead, every deal that you come across. What happens if the rents drop by 5%, 10%? What if vacancy increases from 5% to 10%, and so forth? And that's number 2, which is all about finding better deals. And number 3 I want to talk about was, I kind of alluded to earlier on, building operational systems. And this is really, really important. Fortunately, one of my previous, I'm a firm believer in systems and processes, and having the right organization of people that work with you. Fortunately, the company I was working with, I suppose IBM, we were big on that. I used to run a department or teams anyway. That's all we did. We went into different companies and we implemented systems and redid processes and organization before we put in their technology. So that's what I used to do. So I was very familiar with this, the importance of this. And I suppose the question is, are you running an efficient business, or are you constantly in firefighting mode? Okay, are you running an efficient business, or are you constantly in firefighting mode? I know what I used to be in. I'm not saying I'm 100% there, but I have a lot less fires, and so on. I know a lot of you do have fires because you reach out to me whenever the house is burning down, literally. Anyway, many struggling investors find themselves reacting to problems all day, just reacting to problems. Those problems include things like tenant problems, maintenance emergencies, unexpected vacancies. All these things are potential problems. So what separates winning investors is their focus on systems. They automate processes. They create checklists and delegate where possible, freeing their time, your time, my time, for things that will grow our business. So good systems include things that it really covers every aspect of your business operations. Things like leasing, screening tenants, automated marketing, standardized leases, agreements, onboarding your tenants, screening, selection, or this all part of the the leasing process, identifying a tenant for moving in the tenant to your property. Another thing you should have is systems for maintenance. Things do go wrong with properties. It is what it is. You're dealing with mechanical things. HVAC goes down, the hot water heater goes down, electrical doesn't work, and so on. So you got to have regular, you got to have systems to do that. As you know, I have home warranties on all my properties. I have a handyman and a maintenance guy, so that way, if a tenant calls me with an issue, I know exactly what I need to do. We'll also do regular inspections. I'm now doing inspections twice a year for every property. I don't do it. I have somebody that does it for me. It's a fantastic process. I got to have a session on that alone. Preferred contractors, preventative maintenance, getting into the summer season. So you may want to check your HVAC unit, make sure that it's working okay before it really, really gets hot and your tenant's calling you because it's not cooling. Rent collection, online portals with automated reminders, late fee enforcement. I'm really trying to push late fee enforcement. It's a way to discipline tenants. The result of all this is consistency and scalability. Consistency and scalability. You can manage 10, 20, 50 units without 10xing more stress. Okay, so you can grow without being stressed out. And if you have some of these systems which I talked about in place, you can also protect yourself from burnout and ensure that your portfolio supports not just consumes your time, but it also supports your lifestyle. So what are some of the action items associated with this? Implement a digital rent collection system. Depending on what app you're using, whether Appfolio, Buildia, Rent Ready, whatever, Avail. You can leverage technology. Create a move-in, move-out checklist for tenants and property managers. In fact, one of my tenants just moved out this week. Probably one of my most challenging tenants, I would say. But she's gone, and yeah, that was an experience. Anyway, we'll talk about it another time. Identify and systemize your top 3 recurring property management tasks. Again, what are the things that you commonly do when you're managing your portfolio, and try to systemize some of those things. Okay, we're kind of midway through. We've done 3. We've got 3 down. I've got 3 more to go. So enter your questions in the chat box, and I'll be getting to those in about 10, 15 minutes. Anything to do with real estate investing, any challenges you're facing, any problems that you're experiencing, any difficulty, whether it be tenants, Section 8, contractors, finding deals, financing, it doesn't really matter. Just put them in there, and I'll try and get to them very, very shortly. And if you want to do a deep dive into your special or your personal situation, you can book a one-on-one with me at www.joeasamoah.com. That's www.joeasamoah.com, and you can press the button. It says Ask Dr. Joe. Ask Dr. Joe, and you can book a one-on-one with me. Okay, so let's get down to number 4. So 3 down, 3 to go. Financing. Financing strategies that scale. As you grow your business, you're going to need money. And so you want financing strategies that can grow with you. So the question is your financing, helping you grow, or is it limiting your potential? Finance is a big deal for a lot of people. I mean, you can't do real estate without financing. But a lot of people get scared because they don't have everything in place. But yeah, financing is critical, obviously, where many investors struggle. We rely too heavily on whether it be traditional financing, use of your own personal capital, because at some point you will run out of money. And so therefore you do need to be able to access and tap into other forms of financing, whether it be hard money, private money, and non-traditional financing. There's a whole bunch of different things. But the idea is that you want to tap into some of those things. So successful investors, they master creative, flexible financing. They build relationships with portfolio lenders, credit unions, private lenders, and commercial banks. We use strategies like cash out refinancing, blanket loans, and lines of credit to recycle capital and fund new deals. I do the BRRRR, as you know, the BRRRR strategy. And one of the things there is to refinance, so that way you can recycle money from one project to another. But obviously you need money, and it's very, very important. But it's possible to do a lot of this stuff anyway. So we raise private money from investors who want passive returns, but lack real estate expertise. I know a lot of people are afraid of approaching people. But it's not as difficult as what people think it is. I'm not saying it's easy, but there's a lot of money out there that's just sitting around not doing anything. The challenge to you is to be able to convince these folks that you're going to be a good steward of their money, because no one's just going to give you money unless they know you're going to do the right thing and return the money back at some point. So we leverage private money. Equally important is winning, is managing or proactively managing your debt. Debt is a double-edged sword. It can really help you grow your business, but used unwisely, it can bring you down. It can take you to bankruptcy, especially if the market shifts on you. You become over-leveraged. You take on too many short-term debts. That could backfire in a downturn, and now you're saddled with these albatross around your neck. And that's usually what drives people down, is because they just can't handle the debt. The income's gone down, the debt's still there, and it takes them out. So we also stress test the portfolio for different scenarios, things like rising interest rates, changing lender requirements and so forth. So what are some of the action items associated with step 4, which is financing? Identify one new financing source to pursue this quarter if you can: lender financing, private financing, etc. Evaluate also your current debt structure. Is it supporting or limiting your growth? Build a simple 5-year financing plan for your portfolio. What for each property, what do you intend? What's your intentions for each one? Is it to hold on to it? Is it to sell it? Is it a hybrid of the two? And then number 5 is to tenant relationships. What are your tenant relationships like? And are they building you long-term success? I suppose the question is, are your tenants, I suppose, assets or liabilities in your business? Are they assets or liabilities? That is a good one. Are your tenants really helping you grow your business, or are they just a burden, bringing you down? What I found is that tenant quality and relationships really drive your portfolio success. Without mastering this, you are finished. There's nothing worse than having difficult, challenging tenants who are just consuming your energy, draining you down. Oh, it's a nightmare. Bad tenants, they create high turnover, frequent damage, lost rent, and also legal headaches. And great tenants, on the other hand, which I call tier 1 tenants, especially through the Section 8 program, it's a very stable income stream. They take care of your property, less drama. They're looking to stay a long time, and your expenses go down a lot compared to a high maintenance, difficult, challenging tenant. So winning investors prioritize tenant screening and relationship management. Tenant screening and relationship management. We constantly, updating our screening criteria. That's aligned with our business. We onboard tenants thoughtfully. At least what I do is to set clear expectations from the get-go, from the beginning, and a good, positive, professional relationship from day one. I let people know what they can expect from me and what I can expect from them, and we back that up through inspections and communications and things like that. So we communicate clearly, we respond promptly to concerns, and provide a well-maintained home. So again, we value things like communications, responsiveness, and also making sure that our tenants are happy in their home. What does this do? It builds loyalty, and loyalty reduces turnover, which is one of the biggest hidden costs, as you know, in real estate. In fact, one of my tenants this month has been with me 20 years. It's amazing. My longest tenant is 28 years. I went to one of my tenants' houses, I think it was Monday, just to visit because her husband passed away. And we were just talking. She's been with me 10 years now, getting to 11 years. And so it's possible to have good relationship with your tenants. And if they're happy, they stay a long time. That's what I'm finding anyway. So what are some of the action items? Refine and document your tenant screening criteria. Develop a formal onboarding process. Things like welcome letters, maintenance expectations, emergency contact information, etc. And schedule periodic check-ins to build relationships and preempt problems. And finally, number 6 is managing risk before they become problems. Managing risk before they become a problem. Risk is everywhere. Is your portfolio built to withstand the next crisis, or one surprise away from a disaster? You one step away from a disaster taking you out. So real estate will always involve risk, as we all know. Everything involves risk. What are the risks? Include things like market downturns, unexpected repairs, legal challenges, high turnover. These are risks. Okay, struggling investors operate reactively. They always wait for problems to happen and then scramble to fix them. Whereas winning investors like you and I are proactive risk managers. We conduct regular property inspections and do preventative maintenance. We maintain adequate reserves to take us through a rainy day. or to cover unexpected vacancies or repairs. We stay current on changing regulations, what's going on in the marketplace. That could impact our business model. And also we stress test our portfolio regularly. What if rents drop by 5-10%? What if vacancies double by 5 to 10%? Do these sort of what if scenarios. And risk management, risk management isn't sexy. It's not, sexy, but it's what ensures long-term survival. Again, risk management isn't sexy, but it's what ensures your long-term survival. The investors who endure downturns and emerge stronger are really those who plan for them in advance. And then finally, in conclusion, I'll talk about that. Yeah. So are you ready to move from struggling to winning in your real estate business? Are you ready, based on what I said, to kind of transition from just a struggling investor to a winning investor for your real estate business? Well, here's the simple truth. Every successful investor, that you admire, including myself, at some point we faced the same obstacles that you're navigating right now. There's nothing that we haven't faced. It hasn't been an easy journey. It's been a very difficult journey. Things like bad deals, difficult tenants, financing frustrations, burnout. Well, we've gone through all of that. So what made the difference, though, was that, we're willing to learn. I'm always learning. We're always looking to adapt because, the horizon is always changing. And we build systems that support scalable success. So, we're on, at least I can talk for myself. I'm always looking to learn. That's why I do these Wealth Wednesdays every week. So I'm always learning. I take time to put this stuff together. And as I do it, I'm learning. I'm always looking to learn. I adapt. The market's always changing. I need to adapt accordingly. And I'm always building systems that allows me to grow and scale my business. So, essentially we've talked about what you have now is a roadmap to do the same. You can shift your mindset to a business owner, not just a property collector. You can source and underwrite better deals. You can systemize your operations to run more efficiently. You can use financing strategies that support growth. You can build strong, lasting tenant relationships. And also you can proactively manage risk to protect your future. So remember, a real estate success is not about just doing everything, perfectly the first time around. It's about building a resilient, repeatable, and intentional business, one step at a time. One step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say. It takes time, and so on. So that's pretty much the it's now 7:35. The content for today, the education part. So we're going to go to the Q&A. But if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box, and I'll definitely try to get to them shortly. If you want to shoot me an email, you can reach me at joe@joeasamoah.com. That's joe@joeasamoah.com. And if you want to book a one-on-one with me, where we can do a deep dive into any real estate related issue that you're facing, challenging problems that you're facing, please book a one-on-one with me. And that, my friends, is it. So we're going to go to Q&A. And let's see what we have today. We have greetings from Phoenix. Thank you, Dr. Joe. Yes, you're welcome, Dautu. Dautu is a regular. He's always on. Thanks, Dautu, for supporting me. Nesta Can. The more I tune in every week, the more I want to set up a deep dive with you. Okay. The more I tune in every week, the more I want to set up a deep dive in. Well, the question is, why haven't you? Let's have a look. What do you say? You say, I went to the website. I couldn't find the price to do the one-on-one. How much does it cost? Okay. It's $175 for 1 hour. And most of the sessions go on longer than that. Typically what you do is that you go to the website, press the link, and you book a session, 1 hour. It's $175. It's very, very reasonable for the value that you're going to get. And you give me an idea what the issue is. A couple of sentences. That way I can prepare myself. And then when the time comes, we do a one-on-one on Zoom. We do a deep dive into the problem that you're facing and the reason why you're calling me. My goal is to, make these sessions extremely successful. That's a question I ask right from the get-go: is what would be considered a success for this meeting, and then I use that as a guide to kind of discuss the topic at hand. And I've done a lot of these things, and every single one of them has exceeded people's expectation. Every single one. They're really, really good sessions. So if you're Nestor, if you're considering it, I definitely, it's $175. It's not free, but the people who've decided to make that investment have found, every single one of them has found it to be worth at least 2 or 3, 4 times that. So I definitely recommend that you may want to consider booking a one-on-one with me. Let's have a look. When purchasing house insurance for your rental properties, what type of coverage should you be looking for? Okay, when purchasing house insurance. Okay, so insurance. There are different types of insurance. From a landlord's perspective, you don't want a homeowner's policy because that's for owner occupants. You're not, hopefully, living there with your tenants, unless you're doing house hack. But most of the times you're renting the property and the tenant has full control over the property. So you won't need a homeowner's, you need what we call a landlord policy. And there are many, many carriers that carry landlord policies. You want to make sure you have certain things in place. First of all, you want to make sure you have the correct amount of liability coverage. And also in the event that the house burns down or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you have enough coverage such that you can replace the asset. So that's really important. You don't want to, quote unquote, underinsure your property. You may save some money, but in the event of a loss, you may not, you may be restricted. I always make sure I have what we call landlord renters, not renters. What do you call it? It's almost like income protection. So in the event there's a loss and the tenant can't stay there, then you're out of luck unless you have this rider on your policy whereby they'll pay the amount that you would have received if the tenant was in the property. I forgot the name, but it's almost like a rental income coverage protection. Then you want to obviously have the main, obviously fire protection. You can pick and choose some of these deductibles. And if the deductible is too low, then typically your premium is going to be high. If you increase your deductible, say from 100 or 500 to say 2,500 or 5,000, then your premiums hopefully will go down quite a bit. Insurance can be quite expensive now. I mean, I just renewed several of my policies. That's the reason why I know so much about this. I just recently did it, and it's getting expensive. And some communities just can't get insurance, so it's really crazy. So I have a landlord's policy for all my properties, fire, medical and liability and renters coverage and things like that in my policy. Make sure you have right liability and replacement costs. Tenants, I usually recommend that the tenants get renters insurance. Yeah, I do. Now they don't always get it, but I make them sign a waiver that to let them know I do recommend it. And if something happens, their stuff is not covered. My stuff is, but their stuff is not. And they sign off on that. Good question, Nestor. Dao2, I have new potential HCPP tenants who is currently unemployed. Okay. So the HCPP will cover this potential tenant's entire rent. Okay. This tenant has part of the required deposit and wants to stay and wants to pay the rest. Okay. So what else is there? The required deposit over the 5 months. Okay. It's like a payment plan. Have you ever let a potential tenant pay the remainder of the deposit after they move in? The HCVP will cover their rent. That's why I'm considering it. Yes and no. Yes. I mean, in this area where we are in Washington, D.C. area, the rents are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And most tenants that I have, especially voucher holders, don't walk around with $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in their pocket waiting for security. They don't have it. So you have to be creative in terms of screening them and making sure that you allow them to come in. So what you may want to consider now too, there could be some organizations in your area. There's quite a few here that do assist with security deposit payments. So you may want to check some of those. If you have a voucher holder, there's a good chance that the tenant will qualify based on their income. So at least you're not relying totally on the tenant's money for the security deposit. There could be some organization, there could be some funds out there that you may be able to tap into. That's number one. Number two is if there are no organizations or it's not enough, then depending on the quality of the tenant, I would consider it. You may want to try to reduce the length of time if possible, from let's say 5 months to 3 or 4 months. It means that they're going to pay more, but it means that you're going to get your money quicker. The only concern is that once you sign the lease and you give them the keys, then technically they're now the occupants of the property. So if they don't pay your security deposit for whatever reason, the payment plan you agreed to, your recourse is to evict them. Okay. So depending on where you are, that eviction process could be relatively short or it could be relatively long. In the DC area, it's about a year or 2 years to get somebody out. It's crazy. So I think it's on a case-by-case scenario down to whether you let them move in. I think that if you screen well and you speak to the landlord, you do the home visits, you check them out thoroughly, background searches and so forth, and you feel that this person is a good character and they just, unfortunately don't have all the money, then I'm open to, having a payment plan, because the quality of the tenant, I think, is really, really important. If you can get a good tenant and you can work with them, I definitely would go for it. If it's a marginal tenant and you don't get the warm and fuzzies, you don't feel like this person is going to do the right thing, I'll be leery. So thanks. Okay. Hope I answered your question. This tenant wants to move in July the 1st. Yeah. Okay. I got it. So as I said before, it depends. If you feel good about the tenant, you've done your screening and you've sat down to check them out, you've been to their home, you've done background searches, you've contacted the current and previous landlords. If everything checks in, then yeah, it may be okay. You just set up a payment plan with the tenant and hopefully they will adhere to it. If they don't, then your recourse is to evict them. Or there could be some organizations locally that may be able to provide some security deposit assistance. Okay, so to book a one-on-one with me, Dr. Joe, go to joeasimo.com. I didn't put that down. Who did that? To book a one-on-one. Okay, I didn't do that. Okay, so this tenant wants to do that. Okay, so question is this is from Joel Cool. Is it better to purchase a multifamily home that is rented out to a voucher recipient, or is it better to find those yourself? So I think the question is it better to buy a property that's, already occupied, either somebody else did the screening, or is it best that you find your own? It depends. If the tenants are in there already, then you have to assume that lease when you take over it. So I just like to screen my own tenants. Because a lot of people don't take tenant screening as seriously that I do. Many times people just let them in because they run out of money and need somebody in here, and they're not as thorough, they're not as particular as I would be. So if the property already has tenants in there, then I will definitely try to get more information about the tenants. How long they've been there. I'll definitely get the leases. I'll definitely look at the books to make sure these people are paying you, and all those things before I decide I want to go ahead. But yeah, ideally, in an ideal world, I just like to select my own tenants. I have a lot of faith and confidence in my abilities to weed out the bad from the ugly and from the good. Okay, Joe Cool asking mostly because the current ones seem to be already have a history of past due rent. Yeah, if they have a history of bad paying, then it's a good chance that that history is going to continue. So I would suggest that you speak with each of the tenants or the seller and to get more information and make a decision whether it's worthwhile or not. I'm not saying don't do it. Just be cautious, because sometimes the very, very first house I bought, the tenants were giving the landlord or the seller hell, pure hell. And so he just wanted to get rid of it. And so I didn't know what I was doing. I bought it, and I inherited these tenants and inherited the bad experience. It was a horrible, awful experience at the time. But I was able to turn it around. So maybe you're able to turn it around if the issues are relatively small. But yeah, if the tenants are currently paying their rent late or not paying, then I would definitely want to speak to them beforehand to see if this is something you can work with to turn it around, whether this is something that the tenants have been trained to not pay, and therefore the fact that you bought the house doesn't make any difference to them. They're still not going to pay you. Okay, if you got some questions, please put in the chat box. I got a couple more minutes, and then we'll get to them. So again, put your questions in the chat box. I'll try to get them in the next couple of minutes. Okay, from Ty. Dr. Joe, if you were starting over today, what would you do? What would you do considering prices are much, much more inflated than 10 to 20 years ago? Well, so you got a follow-up question. For people who might not be seeing the appreciation they expected to see, what do you think may have done wrong? Okay, so you got a two-part question, Ty. I'll give my shot on this one. So, Dr. Joe, if you were starting out today, what would you do considering prices are much more inflated? I mean, where we live in Washington, D.C. area, and it's just an appreciating market, which means that prices tend to go up historically. So it is what it is. It means that at the time that you're buying, Ty, it's expensive. Some of the properties I bought at the time, it was very, very expensive. I remember the first house I bought in Washington was for $47,000, and now it's a $700,000 neighborhood. So at the time, I thought $47,000 was too much. I thought it was too expensive. I thought it was crazy. In fact, people were telling me, "Don't buy it. It's too, you're getting ripped off." But I bought it anyway, and I said today it's a $700,000 plus neighborhood, and it's just the way it is. It's at the time it's always expensive, Ty, but over time, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you always look back and thinking, wow, if only I bought at the time when it was quote unquote cheap. That's just how it is. So I would still buy. I would definitely be more selective what I buy. Now I know clearly what type of properties I'm buying and what type of properties I will not buy. I think neighborhood is very important. Where you buy is very important, because not all areas appreciate the same. They don't. Certain areas do, and some areas don't. Some areas appreciate faster than other areas. In your local area, again, I don't know which market you're in, Ty, but I mean, it could be that the path of growth. Learn what we call the path of growth. What's the trends in your area? Is it east to west? Is it west to east? Is it north to south? Is it south to north? What are the paths of growth when people get priced out of one area? They tend to move to the next neighboring area. Is that east or west or north or south? And then, you want to buy in that path. Buy it and hold it, because at some point, history will tell you that the growth is going to end up, on that path. And so you buy now and hold on to it. and let time do the heavy lifting. Let time do the heavy lifting as opposed to you. It means that you're going to have to really get good tenants. It means that you have to make sure you can cash flow. It means that you have certain business systems in place like we talked about today. And also means that you have to take a long-term view of all this. Short-term, it may not make a whole lot of sense, but over a long term, it makes a lot of sense. And but you have to be able to survive. And that's where the system, the processes, and organizational skills and marketing skills come into play. Hopefully that helps, Ty. So the second part of your question is for people who might not be seeing the appreciation they expected to see, what do you think may have gone wrong? Nothing may have gone wrong. Maybe it's just you're in an area where it doesn't appreciate. You know, not all areas appreciate. Some areas are cash flow centric, whereby the rents are low. Sorry, the acquisition prices are low relative to the rents, and therefore you make quite a bit of cash flow. So you could be one of those places where, you know, you just don't get the appreciation. You buy something for 100,000 today, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, it's still worth 100,000. It just doesn't appreciate. So I tend to buy in appreciation areas because the real money, in my opinion, is not the $100, $50 that you make every month through cash flow. The real money is by buying this asset today, holding on for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and let the appreciation work in your favor, and then you can sell then. So to me, buying the appreciating areas is always better. If you can buy in the best area you can afford, it's even better. So there's lots of reasons why things don't appreciate. What could have gone wrong, Ty? I don't know your specific market, but it could be maybe the economy just tanked or sour, because real estate is very tied into the strength of the local economy. So there could be lots of reasons. It could be maybe bad management. It could be market cycles. But all I do know is that over time, in most markets anyway, properties tend to appreciate in value, and that's but some parts appreciate faster than others, and that's where I would suggest that you may want to consider buying in those areas as well. My friends, is about 5 minutes to 8. I'm going to wrap it up. So again, we had a good session, I think, and hopefully today's session was enlightening. Hopefully I was able to share with you quality information about struggle and winning the real estate game, and putting systems and people and technology and in place. So my friends, again, if you want to let's have a look here. If you want to shoot me an email, you can shoot me an email at joe@joeasamoah.com. And if you want to book a one-on-one with me, you can go to my website, joeasamoah.com, and you can book a one-on-one with Dr. Joe, $175 for an hour. And but most of the times we tend to go over an hour, and every single one I've done, people have been extremely satisfied with the results. So that's good. So Katie, hey Katie, thank you, Dr. Joe. You're welcome. And Ty wraps it up. Thank you for your insights, Dr. Joe. Very helpful. Okay, my friends, it is now just about 8 o'clock. I'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. and with another session on Wealth Wednesday. So I'll see you then. Have yourself a wonderful evening and take care. Bye for now.